So while you're doing that, just let you know, we've brought on a number of our different coaches today in our community. And the reason is we wanted to have everybody come on and just tell their story very briefly as to how they got started in Amazon in this whole thing, right? How did they start out? You might have heard some of their stories before, maybe not, but it's going to be really cool just to hear that. Lorraine, if you would mind, just jump in and introduce yourself to those who maybe don't know you, and then I'll ask you some questions.
Cool, yeah. So I'm Lorraine. I'm one of the coaches in the Origin program. And yeah, basically my husband started our Amazon business at the end of 2015. And we've been selling on Amazon now since, I think it was in November 2015. We started out actually with the wrong product. We started out with a seasonal product, and it's something we actually missed. We overlooked it. But in saying that, today, 4 years later, we're still selling that product. We're just a bit more organized on when we have stock and when we don't have stock. So yeah, we've been selling for 4 years now. It's been going really well. Lots of ups and downs, and very blessed to be in the position that we are in the current situation that we are in. We're able to still generate some income and everything. So yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. I couldn't have asked for better mentors at the end of the day as well. But yeah, that's kind of where we are.
I can remember, Lorraine, obviously you and Willie from South Africa. I can remember you coming to Northern Ireland and and spending a number of months there working on the business, and doing a lot of stuff with myself whenever you guys lived in Belfast for a little while too. And it was I think it's those things where you really make your own choice. Like you guys made that choice, which it's never an easy choice, but you kind of said, look, we're going to go and do this, come hell or high water. We are doing this business. We're going to put absolutely everything into it, and to the victor the spoils, because you definitely deserved it. We don't deserve a lot of things in life, but it's like you guys making or going that extra mile. You put everything into it, and you definitely deserve to be where you are. That's what I'd say, Steve.
Yeah, and I think as well for you and Will, Lorraine, because this whole thing of becoming like a millionaire or something, everyone's obsessed with it. But I think for you guys, the thing I like is that it's afforded you both a level of a really nice lifestyle where you live. And maybe if you want to talk a little bit about that, aspect of things, that how, the fact that you were able to free up your time and things like that. I think a lot of people would like to hear about that.
Yeah, definitely. We have a lot of flexibility. If something happens, we can attend to it immediately in our personal lives or whatever the case may be. And in what Rob was saying, we were able to leave our jobs, or I was able to leave my job full time at the end of 2016. We were able to pack up our things, move to Belfast. It was a business decision, but also just a personal decision as well. We wanted a change of scenery, or just a new opportunity. And I think if we had not done that and just threw ourselves into the process and opening ourselves up to a new adventure, we wouldn't have been where we are today. And yes, we are in a very fortunate position. We are doing well. Everyone does well at a different stage, or well to you might be something else than it is to me. But living in South Africa, we are definitely living a really good lifestyle at the moment.
That's great. And again, it's not like, you do a little bit and then you're stuck there forever. You are continually looking at new products and growing your own business as well. And obviously, as we mentioned, you guys are all part of the team now, and all of that as well. And the reason that just for anybody watching, the reason that we bring on people who are clients to come on to be part of the team is who would you want working with you? Would you want someone who's never done it before, or do you want someone who's actually got their business up and off the ground? Everybody who's here today talking has been to our events before, well trained into our methodologies. Obviously, Lorraine and Will have been around for a very, very long time, as I think a lot of you guys have actually. So yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that's the thing. We're not looking for Lamborghinis. We're all just looking for those options. And obviously today, you have a particularly crazy day we don't have to go into what's happened necessarily, but you had to drop everything and go, and you've been able to. And I think people, you remember when you were in your own job, right? Let's say you wanted to go and do something on a particular day. Do you remember the permission I used to have to get and stuff?
I wouldn't ask for permission. That's the thing. Like, and it's not like I would have just bypassed the system and just go and do it in any case, but I didn't feel comfortable to ask. I quickly need to pop out. My son maybe had an incident or something like that. Like, it's just different where now I can just quickly rearrange my day and pop out, do whatever I need to do. And as you can see, I'm sitting in the car and I'm still able to kind of do the job. We're always trying to do as much as we can. And with the kind of business that we have, we can do it wherever we want to. You can quickly drive somewhere. Okay, I need to be on a call, so jump on the call. There's really no excuse not to kind of do the job in the current business that we're in. And I think that's yes, sometimes it is very secluded and isolated, even though the whole world is isolated at the moment. But but still, it can be very secluded. So that's something that you need to kind of just get used to. But I would still rather take this than be at my normal 9-to-5 job any time of the day. Yeah.
And again, you and Will did the whole, travel thing as well for a while, right?
Yeah.
You've done all that, but I think it's funny. I think everybody wants to do the travel thing, and then when they do the travel thing, they're kind of like, I kind of like where I live or where I've settled, and I feel like that's like. Yeah, you guys have definitely done that. So, Lorraine, that's great. Look, you really should pop off now, just so you know, because you need to go and take care of things. But thank you for jumping on today. I'd like everybody listening as well, just to give me I don't know. We'll do. We were talking about the fact no Lambos, so I think we should do a hashtag no Lambos. For this one would be good, just to get a ball rolling. And once you're done that, you, of course, can say thanks to Lorraine for sharing her story. And those of you in our different programs like Origin, etc., you'll have spoken to Lorraine at some point. So, Lorraine, I'd like to thank you for coming on and telling your story, inspiring people as well. That's what really today and the next few days are all about. And just go and take care of things now.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And looking forward to speaking to more members going forward. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lorraine. Okay, great.
Cheers, Lorraine. Thanks very much.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring on Loretta next. Sorry, Loretta. Let's check in all the way from
Canada.
There you go. Look at that was a brilliant introduction. I thought you had articles flying out of your hands there when you did.
I don't know why.
Well, so look, delighted to have you here, Loretta. We did a video a long time ago, kind of deep in your story. It's been a little while since we've done that, so I thought it'd be cool to kind of have you on and maybe just for anybody who doesn't know you just yet, which will be just a few people, just kind of talk a little bit about your background and kind of how you get into this whole thing that I think people would love to know.
So I started my Amazon business back in 2016, and I found Marketplace Superheroes. I had kind of gotten into doing a product before I found Marketplace Superheroes, but when I started then taking the course and the program, I realized that I had probably, like many others, had chosen the wrong product to begin with, but got into the program and really understanding the methodologies that you guys taught and was like, this is a way better process to get selling onto Amazon. So definitely kind of went full on with you guys, invested in coaching with Mr. Robert there. And, that was really the fuel to kind of get into 2017. I was able to launch 11 products in that year with his help. Went on that year then went to the boot camp in Ireland, which was amazing. I actually met Carol there. And and that was a great experience. Bought into also the invasion program. I'm doing some, not invasion into Europe, but actually invasion into Canada. So building my business that way as well. My husband's really kind of taken that on that side of the business. So then came back from the boot camp. I hadn't launched into the UK with my products, so did all of that into 2017, and then have just kind of been building and building. For those of you that I don't know, I did have a cafe business. I had 2 cafes for 7 years, and my strategy was with Amazon. I knew that I didn't want to kind of continue having that business because I was working, 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. The profits from that, business, it wasn't, I just knew that there was probably more that I could do investing in an online business. So my strategy back then was really this Amazon business was going to be my exit strategy to get out of the cafe business. So last year, this time, I got rid of my last cafe. I decided not to extend my franchise agreement, and living what I wanted to do was to be able to work from home, have an online business, and do some other side hustles as well. And that's kind of what I'm doing now. So I am really loving life right now. I mean, I'm working at home, kind of cooped up, obviously, but that's kind of what I wanted. So I'm not complaining. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I obviously joined Marketplace Superheroes last September. So I've been doing the coaching now and loving that. I've been working with lots of great clients. And
how many products have you got in your business now, if you don't mind me asking, Loretta?
Yeah, it's around 20-ish. And I've dropped some, I've added some. My first product that I started with, I made the mistake of ordering 1,000. So I probably had that for about 2 years trying to get rid of that first product, but I don't have that anymore. But, and I mean,
was that the first product you showed me on our first call, Loretta?
Yeah.
That was good. I enjoyed that call. It was really sort of, it sort of made me feel, it was always like liberating, where it's like, I'm just going to have to tell her exactly what the story is.
Well, I think this was your reaction. You were like,
thank you so much, Loretta. We'll come back to you shortly. Appreciate you coming in and helping a lot of people like you.
No problem.
You're a huge asset to us, so thank you. Okay, well, we'll bring on a male now because we've had 2 ladies so far. So, Ali, you're here representing the males in the team. Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. So, Ali, a few people have heard your story by now, but I love yours. I love everyone's story, but I really love yours because you were working in a particular place, and I think a lot of people, maybe when they hear this today, it's really inspirational as to where you are now. Everyone's story is inspirational, but I really love yours. So let everybody know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I was working as a security guard at Heathrow Airport. I did that for, I think, about almost 9 years, coming up to 9 years. Really hated that job. Just everything about it, the shift work. Just really, really wanted to do something else. I had a side hustle at the time. I was exporting motorbike parts. I'm not sure if I've spoken to you about this before, Stephen. And I really loved that. I loved going up and down the country, sourcing these motorbikes, stripping them down, and then shipping the parts off. But then that kind of fizzled out, and I wanted to find something that I can kind of work from home, like similar to Loretta, like finding that exit strategy that can kind of free me up from the life of shift work.
Yes.
And then I found you guys, did the course, end of 2016, I think. It took me a whole year to launch a product, so I did a lot of starting and stopping. And then, end of 2017, I launched my first product.
We are years later doing this full time, research expert in our team. I think that's where you're really excelled. So people were asking how many products are in your business now. We didn't cover that on that call, actually. So that could be something cool to mention.
Yeah, so at the moment I have 11 products, and I have a few on the water and in production as well.
So there's 20, Loretta, 11 with Ali. So I think you guys that are watching today, you're probably seeing a little bit of a theme emerging, which is that nobody said they have one product, right? They've got multiple. And the reason for that is simple. It's like the more products you have in your business, the better. And as you know, Ali is actually aggressively adding more products into his business, which is great. And we're going to be documenting Ali's journey specifically quite a bit in the YouTube channel. Okay, well, with that said, thank you, Ali. We'll come back to everybody soon. I've got a couple of little simple questions for you guys in a bit. Carol, our final coach here today. Carol, how you doing?
I've kind of done my story backwards because I did my exit strategy first. Then I needed to find a way to pay for my exit strategy. So I was working in a corporate job. I've worked in sales for 20 years, and I've been working in medical sales for 16 big companies, including Johnson & Johnson, good money, drove a big fat BMW. And then my mum died, and it made me rethink everything and what was the most important thing in my life. And money wasn't the most important thing in my life, having the thing that I and living that best life was what I really wanted to do. Then Brexit happened, and I decided that not only was I going to give up my job, I was going to move to Spain. The idea originally was to run a little B&B here in deepest, darkest Andalusia. But really, we knew that that was never going to happen, because where we've moved to is very rural, very, there isn't, the opportunity wasn't there. It was just an excuse to leave. So, so we started looking at Amazon as a way of providing an income to replace. We looked at arbitrage. We looked at both retail arbitrage and online arbitrage. I got sucked into the 100 best products to sell entirely unsuccessfully, and I realized that before I actually launched anything, luckily. So we moved in December 16, and then I joined MPSH when I was trying to wrap my brains at which podcast or YouTube channel I'd seen your presentation, and I can't for the life of me. I just came across these two plain-speaking Irishmen, and I liked you, and I liked the way that you do business, and it made sense, and there was no BS, shall I say that? And so I joined in the April 2017, and like Ali, it took me a year to launch a product. I didn't launch my first product in April 18, but in the meantime, I had gone to boot camp at the end of October 2017, and that was a game changer. And you'll remember that I was like a deer in the headlights when I wasn't sure it was going to work, but I'd gone to boot camp to give me that kick up the ass that I needed. And that's what I got, and it made me realize that going into America was not scary. Selling in the States was not scary, and that's where the big opportunity was. And so had some mentoring with a group of us that had been to boot camp. So we were mentored by Robert and Lorraine for I think it was probably 8 months, with calls every other week, and we all made a decision that we were going to launch products. And so I launched my first product in the April, the second product in the August, and then I launched a further 4 products in the November. I've now got 7 products. I've got 8 SKUs now, so not as many as these guys, but I started after them, so I've given myself that excuse. I was looking at my figures today, and in my first 8 months, and anybody that hears Robert talking about, you know, burning that first product, he is talking about my first product, which 2 years down the line, I still haven't sold out. I still have 25 left in the UK. If anybody wants to buy a lovely magnetic wristband, please feel free. But I only sold in the States that first 8 months, $86 worth of products. $86. I've done $170 already today in the States, and it's only 8 o'clock in the morning in the States.
That's fantastic.
And I think my message really to everybody is, do not give up. Just don't give up, because it works. And once you've got products that work, and it might take some time for those to start selling and to kind of for that growth to start. But I mean, I am now in 6 figures, and that has all been in the last kind of, you know, in the last year. I mean, you know, this last 30 days, we've done over 25,000. And this time last year, we've done probably 500 in the same month. So it works. Don't give up. Be tenacious. And if I'd have just taken that first product and given up because it wasn't selling, then I would be back in England, you know, flogging stuff again, because
and as well as that, you learn such big lessons from the first products, I think is why it's so valuable.
Oh, yes.
You get a question I want to ask yourself and Ali. Why do you guys think it took you a year to launch your first product? You can answer first, Carol, and I'll bring in Ali after that.
Fear, the classic paralysis by analysis. I had hundreds and hundreds. It wasn't that I was just looking and not putting. I had hundreds and hundreds of products in my 4S, and it was only when I started having the coaching that I realized that I needed to just pull my finger out and do it. And I'm so glad I did. And the kick up the backside from you guys was really the catalyst. that it could work. And speaking to other people like Loretta, who were already established and had already got products and were already being successful, and Keith and Melissa, who I also met at boot camp, made me realize that was the social proof I needed that it would work. And that's when I actually started taking action and doing it. And hopefully these conversations that we're having with our members today will give them the same impetus.
Absolutely. I love that, Carol. And then Ali, if you want to answer that question just from your perspective, probably a similar answer.
Yeah, definitely. Very similar to Carol, actually. I'd say like the number one thing was self-doubt. And to be honest, it does haunt me till this day as well. But yeah, definitely self-doubt was the biggest thing. It's not that I wasn't doing the work. I was trying to master every step, and then having that self-doubt say, no, your research isn't that good yet. You haven't got the numbers right. I was trying to cross all those T's and dot all the I's, and then doing it again and again to the point I was feeling that paralysis by analysis.
Yeah. So, and again, like that's really common for anybody starting a new business, right? Again, Carol and Ali, both of you, like me, were like long-term, like we're employed by people for a long time. And so you get used to that, right? And it's like what we've talked about before, that idea that you're into that learned helplessness, right? Where you're getting paid every month. You're used to that. You're not used to this idea of like, oh, I'm going to have to like, fend for myself at some point. And like, I'm fully in control. I'm fully responsible for everything that happens. It's a freaky idea for a lot of people. And so I think it's very normal that you like try to protect yourself from going into that by taking your time with your first product, because it's a great way to protect yourself, right? And be safe and all of that, like, is very normal, like for anybody. I was the exact same. And I had Robert to give me the kick. Carol had ourselves, Ali, ourselves as well, probably. But anybody listening today, this is a question I have for you guys. Can you guys all see another theme that is just emerging here as well? Every single one of these people worked with us at a very high level. They had a lot of support, and they had someone over the shoulder who was able to say, keep going with that, stop doing that. And I think that for me, I feel like our program is great, and it's going to become even better with time. But I really feel like that's something that you cannot replace.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, like Robert knows, if anyone knows about self-doubt or my kind of me dealing with self-doubt, it's definitely Robert. But having that kind of guidance, and that goes for the whole community as well. I mean, like I wouldn't have got 10% of the way without the group. And I think that's with a lot of businesses as well. Like if you're trying to scale a business, it's very rare that you'd have a community to go to and to ask questions and to find out resources on how to do certain things. Yes, there are business forums out there, but it's not gonna be anywhere as organized as the one that we have.
Yeah, and again, like the alternatives are you go to like your local council in UK and Ireland, and you're speaking to some man or woman who claims they know business, and they have you spending weeks writing up some stupid business plan, which is probably only good for doing something else other than kicking up the ass. It's probably useful for something else similar to that, to be honest, because it's a business plan. It's old school. It doesn't work anymore. And so yeah, like I that's it. Like it's having a community like this is key, and it's what I continually see people succeeding in. And for me personally as well, I'm no different than the three people that have just spoken. Like I'm the reason I'm here is because Robert initially mentored me as well and gave me a lot of those huge lessons that you cannot learn anywhere else. And I will say you can't learn it just from a course either. I mean, I believe that. I know that to be true. The moment for me where my life changed was whenever I was buying courses, but then I actually went to a warehouse and I actually saw products. And I've talked about that many times, and I say it again because that was the moment for me. I have a question for Loretta now. I'm going to ask each of you the same question. Loretta, like, what was the moment for you where you realized this is actually a real business?
I knew when I sold my first product on Amazon, right? I mean, that feeling of I just sold a product that I've never touched. Implications of that was huge, right? Because you just know that the more products you bring in, the more you can sell. I think, you know, that was a big eye opener for me. And, you know, every day when I wake up, and just like Carol was saying, you know, you wake up and you look at, I mean, Robert always says, don't look at your sales, but you look at your sales every day. and, you know, it's just the fuel that keeps you going to bring in more products, or, you know, try a different strategy, or, you know, and keep it growing.
Yeah, and just someone else to believe in when you don't believe in yourself as well, right? That's what I always think. It's like, if you're on your own, it can be very lonely if you're doubting yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. What about you, Carol? Do you remember the moment for you? Was it your first sale? Was it a different time?
Probably at boot camp.
Yeah.
I think probably realizing that the boot camp wasn't just full of people like me who had, you know, 100 products in their 4S and it wasn't really real. Those products in that 4S were going to turn into sales. And talking to people that were already successful and had proven, you know, the system worked, made me realize that it would work. Not it could, or I hoped that it would work for me if I put the work in. And even with the products that didn't, you know, and I've got 8 products, and 4 of them are, 2 are, you know, a bit like, all right, 2 are hopeless and I won't reorder them. And I've got 4 I can't keep in stock. And so actually most of my sales come from 4 SKUs. Yeah. And it's when you realize that those 4 SKUs will be enough for me to live on, and the rest's just a bonus. And so I think, and the fact that selling in another country makes me realize it's a real thing, you know, that, because, you know, selling a few things in the UK didn't feel like you know, I sold, you know, I ran £1 million business in the UK for somebody else, and that didn't feel real. But that first sale in America, just like, okay, I'm an international businesswoman now. Oh, nice.
Well, good job. I love it. I love it. Ali, do you have a moment like that where you just had like a, wow, this is a real thing?
Yeah, I'll say very similar to Loretta. Like, the first sale was like just the proof of concept. Once I kind of established that, it was more of, okay, I did this set of actions and then this was the result. All I have to do is that over and over again until I kind of reach my goal. But I think it kind of really clicked when I think it was my first £1,000 in revenue in a month. And that's when I really kind of started looking at the numbers. And that was the 1 SKU at the time. No, that was 2 SKUs at the time. And I just looked at the numbers, tried to paint a picture of what that would look like with 10 SKUs. And that's when I started to realize that this is more of a business and this is the direction I want to go in.
What about you, Steve?
Do you remember your moment?
There's definitely been a few. I mean, if you're going back to the proof of concept, that was 1997. That was a fantastic fellow called Gary Binger, Binger, from Minneapolis, who bought mini discs off little old my website. He found my website, didn't go to a marketplace because they didn't exist. Back then, I didn't import those products back then, but he went and put down about 30 of his hard-earned US dollars, and that was like, wowee, this guy is not in the UK, he is in America, way over there. And it was like, how am I going to send these things? I mean, can I like send this stuff to America? And I was like, well, of course you can. There's a thing called airmail, Robert. Don't be so silly. Went down, sorted all that out. But I think as well, you know, real times proof of concepts as well. It's like seeing that first full container come into my warehouse and opening the door, and every single product on that 40-foot container is mine. As I've said to you before, Steve, that day in Disney, you know, whenever I was able to, you know, take the family to Disneyland for the first time, or Disney World, sorry, for the first time. You know, it was a stretch. You know, it was really a stretch. There was a few credit cards involved. Having my phone in my pocket, and I had my app on, and this phone it was such a cheesy noise, but it was like a till register, like ka-ching. It was just literally ka-chinging the whole day. It was sort of funny because I ended up turning it off. Not that day I didn't turn it off. It became almost like it became annoying, became irritating, but it was fantastic. I always remember that day walking around and the phone just ka-chinging in my pocket. And I actually felt like $1 million because of, you know, where I was, everything. I was kind of on holiday. I was still working at different bits. I was still checking up. but it was such a great feeling to hear this phone just going off like periodically every 10 to 15 minutes. And even to the point where whenever 10 or 15 minutes went past, I'd take it out and go, is this thing broken? Or is it, like I said, out of battery, or what is going on? So there's probably many more as well, Steve.
James said, forgive my naivety, but what's stopping people from adding more and more? Well, it's just time, and it takes time to add more products into your business, and you're putting more capital into your business. And like Carol was saying, like whenever you got 4 products out of your 8 that are doing really, really well, it's about funding those effectively before you start adding in new products, because that's the thing a lot of people do. That we did it before. We made that mistake where you're not funding the 4 properly, and so they were kept running out of stock, which doesn't make sense. So it's things like that as well. And obviously when you have 20 products like Loretta, you got to make sure they're funded as well before you add in more products. So as you start to add in more SKUs to your business, and the other thing which nobody talks about, which we do, is as you start to become more successful, it gets tricky because you're funding lots of different products at the same time. And so I think that's the thing. People have like an overly simplistic view of how business works. I was that person when I started. I just was like, oh, sure, it's making money, so it's going to be easy to like just keep everything in stock, and life is wonderful, and life is great. But at the same time, there's a reality to running this business, like any business. And the problem with all the Lambo lads, as I call them out there, and ladies too, although I don't see too many ladies with Lambos, is that they don't talk about that. They just talk about how much money you're going to make. But at the end of the day, this is real business, and real businesses involve cash flow. They involve planning. They involve a lot of different things. And the problem that I have is that a lot of times people don't realize like that's the stuff you need support with as well. And that's why having, again, like it sounds like I'm trying to pitch coaching or whatever, but I'm really not. I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, having a coach and someone to look at that helps you realize that kind of stuff. Because if I didn't have Robert in my life, I would have been like, I remember one of my first days saying to Robert that like, oh yeah, maybe we could like start a factory in China or something. He was just like, yeah, that would cost a good few million, just so you know. But I didn't know any of this stuff. I was a moron. And I was just like, oh, well, I can make 10 grand like next week. And he's like, doing what? And I'm like, selling products. He's like, where are you getting the money from? I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, exactly. And that's the thing, like, I mean, when you're such a beginner like that and you don't know how business works, you got to realize what you don't know. Doing this program and actually doing the business is where you'll get an MBA, more than an MBA in business. Now, with that said, that's it for today. I really enjoyed having the coaches on because these are all real stories, real people. Robert's told his story many times. I've told mine many times over. And I just think it's good to hear from other people because there's lots more behind the team today than just Robert and I. Really, we're just a part of the business, but there's so much more. And without all who we've heard from today, Lorraine, Loretta, Ali, Carol, we couldn't do what we do. And there's so many more people. I mean, we'd be here all day listing everybody because now the team's got about 30 people on it at this point in time. So this is how we're able to help all of you get to where you want to be. I actually find the most inspirational stories for people are typically when people talk about their first sale, because that's the thing that, as a lot of people talked about today, that was the moment in time where it all changed.
I think we've covered good ground today, which is fantastic. I love the comments that are coming in, but also I completely back up, having Loretta and Lorraine, not the two Lorraines, but Loretta and Lorraine, Carol, Ali, and the rest of the team. I mean, for me, these are the guys that hold us up. They're the ones that keep us accountable. It's absolutely fantastic to have worked with them, seeing their businesses blossom up from, just a little seed now up into a massive tree. And now they're able to then go and do this for other people as well. It's, as you say, Steve, we wouldn't be able to do it. It's the likes of these people that make Marketplace what it is.